Hi guys, so today I'm going to be doing a book review video. This one I only have 6 books. And this is I think this is the only book review video I had for this month. And some of the books, it was just hard to get through. Some of them were longer than others. So I'm going to start with the book that I really didn't like first. This is called Buckingham Palace Gardens. It's a Charlotte and Thomas Pitt novel. It's by Anne Perry. This is what it looks like. And you judging by the thinness of this book, you would think, oh, this book was easy to get through. Well, it wasn't. It had 13 chapters in it, and they were extremely long. Like it ended on like 312 or something like that. The chapters were extremely long in this book, and each chapter was, like I said, was really lengthy, but it had a ton of information in this book all in one chapter. So if you got confused, it was because there was a trillion things, and then they would go from one person to the other and all this stuff. So it takes place in Queen Victoria's reign, and it's about this manservant. He finds a body in the linen closet, and they call Thomas Pitt in, and Charlotte is working undercover kind of as like a maid to get the help, I guess, to see if they know anything or figure stuff out. And there's a lot of different things that happen in this book to cause this person's death, I guess you could say. There's all these different things that are connected together, and if you miss one thing, you're kind of lost. Like at one point there was a thing about a railway from um I forget where it was. It was two places in Africa, and it was Cairo and some other place in Africa, but I forget what it was, where it was. And then there was the fact that people said, "Oh, maybe the prince did it because he was the likely person, just because he liked to do those things with women." And people also thought a long time ago he was actually Jack the Ripper, but nobody knows who that was. And all these different things, and it all goes back to one specific person, and it's not really um, like the thing with this book is in most books it's like they'll say, when you read mystery books, some mystery books, they don't really say, oh, this person and this and that did it or whatever. This book, they clearly thought this person did it, and a few other people, but they kept bringing it up, and it was just like it was like going around circles. Oh, it's this person, it's this person, it's this person, and they would get new information that says, well, it's still one of these three people. And something changes, like I think like in the ninth chapter, about this plate that the Thomas Pitt found. And I think I read a book by this author before, and it was a long time ago, and I remember, I think that book too I really didn't enjoy. And it had nothing to do about a garden in Buckingham Palace. I don't know why it was called that, because the woman who died ended up in a linen closet, and they said that, like, in the book, she wasn't killed in the closet. In the linen closet, she was killed somewhere else, and it wasn't the garden. I don't understand why they called it that in the first place. But anyway, the second book in this set is called The Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder, and this is by Joanne Fluke. I don't know how you say her last name. It's a Hannah Swanson mystery, and these books, I don't know if this is the specific mystery series set, but her books are turned into Hallmark mystery movies that I think Allison Sweeney, I think that's her name, she plays Hannah, but I don't know if this is the right Hannah. I don't know if she wrote other ones. But this is what it looks like, and it's about this woman who owns this bakery where she makes cookies a lot. And here the delivery man, dies. And it's up to her to figure out who did it and why, and all these other things. And it's just like, the one thing I didn't like about the story, and it's just like a little thing, was that in her books, every time she meets somebody, she gives them cookies, whether they're good or bad or whatever. And it was a shock to see who actually did it in the book, because she was 100% sure it was this person. And then it turns out it was actually somebody within that person's circle, kind of thing. So this is another mystery set that I have never read, and this is a raining cats and dogs mystery, raining as in Reigning. It's called Dead Canaries Don't Sing. It's by Cynthia Baxter. This is what it looks like. And it's about this woman who owns this van. You know, there's vans where you can get your dogs and cats, instead of going to like a vet like a vet physical location, you can get your dog's vet stuff done in this van. So she's a veterinarian that has this bus or truck or van, whatever it's called. And here she was going to. Excuse me, I just took a nap, so if I yawn, I apologize. She's going to this person's horse farm. I think it was a horse farm. And well, anyway, she's going there to take care of horses, and she always brings her two dogs with her. Her two dogs came from horrible circumstances she rescued them from. And they go out to this. I don't know what actually happened. I don't remember exactly why she did it, but she stopped and the dogs got out. And here they found this dead person with this canary next to him. And when I think of canaries, I think of when they used to say, you know, they used to use them in the mines, and if they started to not sing anymore or something, then it means that there was too much of some kind of thing in the air. I forget the exact thing, but yeah. And she has to go and figure out who did it and why. And it was a nice book, and there were some like things in here, like as she was taking care of different animals, she would say, oh, like this is what it might be. It was kind of like tips kind of to how that started. And it was a really good book. I don't know if it was the first one in the series, excuse me, but there was another thing in here about her love interest. They were on and off again. He's the private investigator to her thing, and it was just a nice book. This one is the one that was the last one for this book review video. This one is that I read last for this book. Last for this book review video. This is a craft corner mystery. It includes craft tips. This is called String of Lies. It's by Mary Ellen Hughes, and this is what it looks like. And it's about this woman. What was her name? J-O, who she owns this crafting store, and she ends up figuring out that the block that she's on, their leases are up, and the guy who owned all the buildings gave it away to this person, Parker Holt, and he ends up he wants to get rid of all the buildings and build something better there besides these small town businesses, I guess you could say. And she wants to get a hold of him, and she can't. So here she ends up at his house, and it turns out that he something happened to him, and she has to figure out who did it and why. And she's worried about her business, and she's worried about the mother. One of the wives to one of the guys they suspect takes her bags there for the woman to sell there, because she needs another income, because she left her job because she was pregnant and stuff like that. And her husband is trying to find work as like a construction worker man and stuff, and he's one of the suspects. So this is a story about, this is called Lord John and the Hand of Devils. It's by Diana Gabaldon. I don't even know if that's how you say her last name or not, but this is a sub-series to the Outlander series. And in this book, it's about the series is all about Lord John, and Lord John is one of Jamie's, let's just say, companions, I guess. But most of the time, they have nothing to do about this book. So Jamie and Claire don't have anything to do with these books. And the first one I read, I only bought two of them. The first one I read and I didn't like. This one I read and it was kind of better than the first one. This takes place after Lord John frees Jamie and takes him to Hellwater or something like that. I think that's what it was called. And I bought these. These books were cheap. They were at the bookstore, and I bought all of the rest of the Outlander series I needed to get, and I found those two books. And there was a couple more books there. They were really cheap because these books were written a long time ago. Like they weren't written like when Outlander first started. They were written like a couple years ago, so they were like really cheap. So this book is about, it's three novellas in one book, and it takes place with Lord John, like I said, and it's three different stories that take place in England or around England, that type of thing. And they're kind of like mystery stories, and Lord John tries to figure out who did them and why. The first one is called Lord John and the Hellfire Club. That one is about a man who died that Lord John was supposed to meet. And if you don't know about Lord John, his little dirty little secret, you'll figure out what. Yeah. This one, the second one is called Lord John and the Succubus. I don't know how you say this thing. It's about this, what do they call it? It was about this like woman who I think came back from the dead. I think it was kind of like a banshee kind of thing. I think that's what they described it as. It's called it's spelled Succubus, and this guy in the book called it a succubus. And then the last one, the first two are really short stories, but the last one is long. And this one, it only has 3 parts in it, and it's called Lord John and the Haunted Soldier. And it was a really good book. This book was better than the last one I read. It was about, what was it? I don't know if it's even in this book. I forget what it was called. Let me see. Is it in? The Brotherhood of the Blade. That's what it was called. And stuff like that. And it was a good book. I really enjoyed it because there was some stuff in it about like lore that you might not have known, like it's some like Scottish lore and stuff like that. And it was a really good book. Some of the things in the book, some of the mysteries in the book, you really don't know who did it and why. And it was just a nice book. I really enjoyed it. So this one was a book that doesn't really fit in with the other ones. And this was a short book. This was only like 200 and some pages. It was 218 pages. And this is an Oprah's Book Club book. And some of the books I read that are supposed to be from Oprah's Book Club aren't that great. And this one was a book where I didn't like it at first because I didn't really understand what the story was going to be like. And this is called The Reader. It's by Bernard Schlink. I guess that's how you say their last name. And it's about this boy who It's about this boy. It's after World War II. And I always get, like, I know the wars, but it's like, when they talk about Hitler, I always forget which one it is for some reason. Well, it takes place after World War II. And it's about this boy who meets this woman. He had hepatitis, and it's the first line in this story is I was however old and I got hepatitis. That's what the book says. And during when he had hepatitis, he couldn't go to school. He couldn't really do anything, but he ends up I forget how they meet this older woman who I think she's actually like an adult woman, and they end up having this sexual partnership kind of. It's like a lot of smut in this book kind of. And here what happens is in the next part of the book, well, what happens is it just, the first part is just their relationship and stuff like that. And it goes into when he's an adult and he wants to be, I think he wants to be a lawyer. And what happens is in this book, when he's going to school to become a lawyer, his professor or teacher, whoever, wants him to go to this trial. And here it's this woman that he used to be with, I guess you could say. And throughout the first part of the book, it was a thing where he didn't really know a lot about her. And she always liked when she always liked when he used to read to her and stuff like that. And that comes into play in the second part. And basically what it is this woman, she ends up being a guard for the Nazis, I guess you could say, or the German bad guys, because I don't know if you could say that or not, I don't know, on YouTube. And she was a guard with these other women guards where these people died in this church. And it's about that. And it's about the woman, the mother and the daughter that were part of this group that died in the church. They actually survived. They got out or something like that. And they wanted to get their revenge back, I guess you could say, on these people. And so it was basically that type of story. And here in the book, he finds out that based on what she's saying, what happened was he finds out that she talks about how these women, they thought she used to do things to them because they would go into her private place and read to her. So they thought, and they would always do it right before they had to get sent away. And I guess it was supposed to be like a moment of like freedom to these people. I don't know. And they didn't really call them like the Jewish people or not. They didn't call them that. They just called them people or these women that died in this church. So I don't know if they were Jews or not. I don't think it ever said in the book. I don't really think so. And here, based on that and based on the fact that what happened was there's this report that they all had a file where nothing happened or whatever, or just to say it was an accident or something like that. I don't know. And the judge wanted her to, or the judge or the lawyers of these people wanted, of the two women, wanted her to write, to do a handwriting analysis, and she wouldn't do it. And based on that and the fact that he used to have to read to her, he finds out that she is illiterate. She can't read and she can't write. So she ends up, she basically takes the blame for all the other guards. And the other guards got off easy, and she didn't. She had to go to jail for, I think, her whole life. And what happens is this boy, he starts thinking about her as he's going on. Like, he gets married, but he knows it doesn't really fit him because he really loved this woman. So here he starts actually taking some books that he has in his house and records reading them for her. And he doesn't do anything else. He doesn't write to her. He just sends these things. So here what happens is the head guy of the jail decides, like, she's fine. She can go back into society or whatever. So they don't know, they don't know anybody else but him because he's been sending her these recordings. So they tell him this information. And I don't want to say what happens at the end of the book. But to me, it was just like, it got annoying about how every time something happened in his life, he always thought of this woman. And it was just, I mean, the first part of the book, that was why I didn't really like it in the beginning, until like I read the back and it says about, oh, this happened in the back of the book, the synopsis. I'm like, oh, or there's a summary. I'm like, oh, maybe this will get better. So if you don't like the first part of the book, which is all of the companionship, I guess you could say, the second part, of the book gets better. And it's like the chapters are really short in the book too. And it was a good book. This book was translated from German, so I don't know if this is a real story or not, or if it was just a German story. I don't know. But it was a good book, so I highly recommend you read that book. And the ending is shocking about what happens to the woman. And it was just a nice book. Well, it was a nice book, but it was a good book to read, especially like it doesn't go into like the horrible stuff that you read about like in history about what happened, but it's just like, why would this woman like just come out and say she doesn't know how to read or write? She didn't write the report, and then, she would have. Yeah, but I think it was just because she knew that she did horrible things, I guess. I don't know. But those were all my books for this book review video. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and see you guys next time with another video.